Hey, welcome back to the show. This week I had the chance to sit down with a local comedian, country music superstar. That's right, I said it's superstar. And my fellow temporary acquaintances, partner in crime, Rory Gardiner. We discuss our failures as parents and just failures in general. So, let's get into it. All right, so welcome back to another episode of Happy Hour with Sad Comedians. I am in Rory Gardiner's backyard.
I live here, so I didn't have far to go.
I just showed up.
Yeah.
I just kind of showed up and been like, hey, man, with a camera, paparazzi style.
I didn't have much to do.
Yeah.
Honestly,
He was raking his leaves. I was like, hey, can you take a break?
I was like, done. And I have calluses, so.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you have no leaves in your backyard now?
I have no trees in my backyard.
Is it the tornado?
I used to live in a forest, and now I live in a new development. That's what happens when the wind blows.
Yeah, I know.
I actually bought trees. You can see. So there's 3 trees in my backyard now, which I paid money for. Never in my life did I think I would ever put money down to buy a tree. But here we are, buying trees.
Yeah, you figure you could just steal them from the park. But no, you have to buy actual trees at where do you buy trees? Home Depot?
No. Have you ever been to a Home Depot? Yeah, they don't have trees at the Home Depot.
They have a lot of plants.
They have a lot of plants
in the garden section.
Manitic trees. So it's kind of a whole ordeal. They like literally bring a truck and they scoop out the soil and they put this. Yeah, they deliver a tree to the damn house. It's like a mature tree. It's not like a little. They're talking about tree planting in BC or whatever these kids who don't want an education do. It's literally. It's just. It's a mature tree. I wish we could pan to it right now so they know what we're talking about. But
yeah.
Picture the giant tree in your front yard. They can deliver that to your house.
You could have hired Kia Mazar to come plant some trees in your back.
Now I retract my last statement about the because I did that. I planted trees in as everyone does when they're trying to find themselves. And it's these little trees like the size of this microphone, and you dig a little hole, you bury a tree, done. This is like an all-day affair when you got a mature tree down there.
Mm-hmm. I did.
It's like hitting on a college kid or a cougar. Like one takes a little bit more effort because they've been around the block a few times.
It's a whole
My
day
trees
affair.
have been around the block a couple times.
Yeah. Was it one of those machinery that they is just like scoops out like almost like a cylinder, not a cylinder, but like a conical shape thing, and then just pull it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah. Wow. So you've done a good job with the place since the tornado. Looks good.
I live outdoors. This is my bedroom.
This is a treehouse. Yeah.
Yep. We've recovered since the tornado. That was 2 years ago.
So you got out of that though. You got a TED Talk. You got some good footage.
I didn't get a TED Talk because I had got my house blown away. It's the way I dealt with it. I think they found interesting, and they wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. You took a really shitty situation and you turned it into an opportunity to do something, right? Was it like the next day you started filming the stuff and making some commentaries on like, oh, we always want a tree house, and then you have the tree inside your house, and
it was just
like at what point was there like a big like holy shit like anger and all that, and then you just turn on your phone and start making jokes about it? Or
it's my coping mechanism. I think it's just the way I deal with things. And you hear I've been telling these tornado jokes for years, and they do pretty well because it's like it's kind of a unique situation to talk about. And then you hear other comics like, I wish my house got blown away by a tornado. I'd have a TED Talk and a bunch of stuff. But that's not. It's more like the things that led up to it. So right after it happened, after my family was safe, and I got my guitars wedged, from outside the. We lost the roof, so I had to like literally save my guitars from rain. But after all that was safe and the children,
guitars, children, in order of priority.
Exactly. Yeah. I just started shooting comment. It was like the next day I started shooting commentary about the like an episode of Cribs almost. I was like, well, this is my treehouse, and there's a tree in my bedroom. But it's I wouldn't have been conditioned to do that if I hadn't spent the year prior creating sketches myself.
Yeah.
It's like no one's intention is just like to pick up a camera and start doing that. But like for the year prior, I was, modeling sketches in front of a green screen. So that was my, as I went to it, and it was just more of it masked my vulnerability. Like no one's level-headed enough to just sit there and do it. But I could go complain and drink and cry with the neighbors, or I can, pretend I'm a superhero and do this comedic thing. Anyway, so I did that, and apparently that, according to a therapist, is called supplementation, or supplementing, or something like that. Sublimation, where you take a bad situation and replace it with a good. And I didn't know it was a thing, but I naturally did it, and that was the story they wanted to hear out in Colorado for this TED Talk. And since I did that talk, I mean, it's been shared in PTSD conferences, and therapists share it with their trauma patients about how to deal with a traumatizing situation and overcome adversity using humor.
Well, humor is a coping mechanism for sure. I remember, I think I got it from my dad. I remember my dad actually at his own mother's funeral, my grandmother's funeral, like just cracking jokes and just like nonstop cracking jokes. And you could tell that my mom was like, I don't think he's well. Like, I don't like, obviously there's something. And then finally is only when his childhood friend who grew up on the street, walked through the door, that all the memories from like his childhood and like his grandmother, his mother, and that like started flooding back, and he like, finally cried. But it was like at a certain point, I think, like, I was taught like comedy humor is the only way to deal with emotions, and like in my household it was like that. It was always like humor like you.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I'm not saying it's healthy.
No, but it's the alternative is not. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some bad alternatives too, but I mean, of all the alternatives of the coping mechanisms, I think humor is one of the best ones probably.
It's basically you need to replace that emotion with something else, and like I said, some people around here did replace it with anger, with drinking, and I thankfully went the more healthier habit.
At least if you're going to replace it with something, at least humor.
But humor's a tool I had in my arsenal. Not everyone has that, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a six-pack in your arsenal, then that's a better way to cope with it sometimes. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone's got a thing. A
beer or a six-pack, like abs?
Nobody around here has abs.
You're in the suburbs, and nobody here has abs. Yeah. It's long gone.
Mm-hmm.
Turning 40 next week.
Yeah. So it's 40 is it came up quick, but here we are.
Do you feel like you've achieved everything you wanted by this age?
No, but I think I've tried everything I wanted to try by this age. And so that's...
You've packed a lot in at 40, though.
What do you mean?
I mean, you were like a country music, star. I'll say superstar. Star.
Super.
Maybe not superstar, but you're a country music star.
Fair.
You've done comedy. You've done like sketch comedy, temporary acquaintances, whatever. But I mean, yeah, you've done a lot in your life, more than some people.
Well, I didn't intentionally do it that way. I it just sort of gradually, that's the way the journey took me. And so I think it all led to the head of the tornado. Like I started in music back in the day. My dad was a musician, so I was like, you know what? I got to get his attention. I'm gonna do the music thing. So I went into that, and then it spiraled from there. I started releasing albums, and it was a lot of fun. And then somewhere it got to a point where like it was like I'm entertaining people, but am I really? Am I creating value in these people's lives? Am I changing lives? I'm like, do I even need to change lives? It doesn't even matter. But I just felt like empty. It was just like I'd be in these bars or clubs or theaters, and I'd be like, yeah, they're having a good time. I'm just helping people get laid, really, at this point. Like, it's not really, I don't know. I'm helping spread venereal disease around the city with like these tunes. And so I'm like, I wanted to try to connect with them. So I'd be doing these theater shows, and I was, I'd talking between the songs, and I'm like, I tell jokes and stuff, and I get laughs, and I'd be able to tell stories, and I'm like, I think I'm connecting with these people more like in between the songs than I am with the actual things.
Oh, interesting.
And so I was like, well, why don't I just get rid of the song part and just focus on the jokes and the stories? That's where comedy came in. So 7 years ago, I decided to try stand-up comedy. And like anything, I sucked at first, and it takes years to figure that out. And I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But that led to the preparation, I guess, to that TED Talk. I don't think I would have had the skills necessary to be able to deliver the message that I did with the humor backbone that if I didn't have that 7 years of comedy runway to lead with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. Everything sort of, it seems like it all led to that one moment where you were ready for it because of all the preparation that you put in. I mean, like I know, as you know, I was a musician as well, and I played in some bands, and just the in-between song banter, that to me was my first sort of foray into like, oh, I can, you know, put a couple of jokes in there and make people laugh, because laughter in between songs, especially if your songs are serious in nature, like it sort of breaks the tension. And it's very important to, just connecting with the audience. And it was actually really a lot of fun. And I think for me, getting into comedy was like, I was just trying to get better at that banter in between songs so that I can actually go back to music and do this stuff now. But now I'm just like only doing comedies. Like I just got sucked in completely in this world. And
it's a great world to get sucked into. Like the community's great. It's fun to like, you have a whole new friend group now.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun. So you got into comedy because of music a bit. How did you feel the first time when you were on stage without your guitar, just doing like straight up? Did you feel naked a bit because you were used to being on stage with the guitar and
literally
the band? That was your first. Yeah, that was my first set. This is the punchline right here.
Yeah. So it's. I wanted to try comedy years prior, like in my mid-20s. I'm like, I saw the blue collar comedy thing. I'm like, I want to be Larry the Cable Guy, and with a better metabolism. And then, but I chickened out for years. I'd go to the comedy club every weekend. I'd be like, I'm gonna do it, and then literally 5-6 years go by, and it didn't happen until Absolute had their first ever contest. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sign up.
Your first time was during a contest?
Yeah. So I signed my name, like now I'm accountable to show up. And so I went, and first time on stage was during a contest. And
how'd that go?
I did not win.
Did you advance?
I did not advance. But that's part of the game, right?
Well, that's funny because now that you know what contests are, like you went in there just like being like, okay, whatever, it's just another comedy show or a contest, a bunch of amateurs. But like now that you've done contests, like it's so funny how like ignorance is like, oh well, whatever. You probably didn't feel the pressure of the contest, but now like, comics that go into contests, they put all this pressure on themselves, and you just showed up like, this is just another whatever. That's fucking hilarious, actually.
But that was kind of before, like Ottawa's just tons of comics around, but like 7 years ago there wasn't as many, so they didn't have 100 people on the waiting list to get into the contest. It was like they were hurting for people to show up.
The fact that you actually could just get on like that's pretty crazy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But that's now and then I did it once. I got hooked.
Yeah.
And like anything, I don't like to. So I had this reputation of being a decent musician, and so like I didn't want people to see me fail and learning at something new in public, hence comedy, which takes just years to like figure out and make. You've been doing it long enough now that you know that to not look like an idiot, it takes a few years of talking in front of people, and so I didn't want to show anyone what kind of an idiot I was, and still am. So I drive to Kingston like every month and do their club there, and I try the new jokes out, and I don't know. I did that, and even today, like if I'm trying out new stuff, I don't want anyone to see it. I don't want anyone, and I only invite people out to things that I want them to see.
So I guess you could go into disguise and like have a stage name.
I thought about that too. Honestly, when I started out, I'm like,
you don't want your name on there.
I didn't, but I don't know. But it doesn't matter because again, it's all in my head. No one cares. Like and there's music people. They're like, because they throw a poster up. It's like, Rory will be featuring tonight. You do comedy. And then so they're like, all right, we're coming out. And I'm like, oh, now there's like a lot of pressure on me, but it's like pressure in my own head. Like they don't care. They just want a good laugh.
Yeah.
And full circle, I've been doing everything on my feeds now is comic related, right? It's like I do these little sketches, I do these little videos, this and that, and then now I have this new group of people. They're like, whoa, you're a musician?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, 7 albums later. It's like, yeah, I used to do music.
Yeah. I imagine all your diehard fans from like day one are like, what the hell, man?
That happens. I get DMs from people. It's like, I really think you're funny, but can I hear a song? Like, this is why I followed you to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
Like, well, sorry.
I'm sure some people are just enjoying the ride as well.
Probably not.
No, probably not. Of course not. No, yeah, comedy's it's been fun. I mean, it's been fun making some content throughout the pandemic, and we were just talking about how when the pandemic hit, I think it was like March 13th or something, and the next day they announced like, oh, things might be shutting down. People are rushing to get toilet paper from Walmart and Costco. And we got the camera and we started shooting at Costco, and we went to Walmart and we saw like the shelves being bare. And that ended up being episode 2 of Temporary Acquaintances, season 1. Rory prepares for the pandemic, and that became like I think that was probably the most viewed video that we've had so far in the season, because we just took a situation and we a topical topic. And we just ran with it, and we actually did something. But I think because we had done so many, we were actually prepared to do this properly. Had we never, collaborated before, we wouldn't have been able to do all this video and editing and the sound and all that. I think it just speaks to.
Yeah, we needed a good practice run, and even just like from that video and editing perspective, it's like I was doing sketches myself before. And they were funny and they turned out okay. But then, like, when I collaborated with you, you're a much better editor than I am. And just to take the collaboration, I think that the sketches are, at least quality-wise, that much better than they were before. So I'm always hesitant to collaborate on anything, just because I'm a control freak sometimes.
Right.
But I think the two-head is always better than one.
Yeah, and just having this accountability too, that we were like, okay, well, we need to get these many episodes in. I think we got up to like 12, I think.
You know what's funny? That while you were talking about it earlier, like the pandemic one was the only one we didn't script. It was like off the cuff.
The thing too. Yeah, so. I think because we had done so many scripted ones, I think we were sort of on the same page. We could improvise. We did okay. Well, let's do this. Do a couple of takes, and just like riff and improv, and then get some. I think that was probably the easiest one to do.
You know what I'm thinking of? This is just give us a sec, folks. We're just gonna
this
talk
is
about
business
something.
meeting.
Because we're not the best actors. I'll speak for myself.
You're
you're like Leo DiCaprio, but I am an amateur when it comes to this sort of thing. So I think people see that when they look at it. So they're like, I know I'm watching a sketch, blah. But like when they see something that they know is like anything can happen because it's improv. It's like now they're more engaged to it. So maybe that could be a new direction. And let's stop overthinking and perfecting and preparing. Like, let's edit the hell out of it because that's art as well. But like when we're going into it, let's try to improv it. Kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right. Or Borat 2, subsequent movie film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My life. So the so we can prepare it and we can be like, all right, let's have these ideas and try to hit these points, but like let's not like script it.
Yeah, have maybe like just the bones and the bare bones of it, and like the story arc where we want to go, but not having everything. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Good approach. Cool. We're
all right. Back to the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there what we were talking about earlier? I don't know.
We were talking about
prostates and colonoscopies.
I had to pee, and then it kind of like killed the momentum. But perfectionism. So yeah, you suffer from it as well, where you kind of you overanalyze and you overproduce and you over perfect because, well, you can answer it yourself, but maybe it's, I don't know. The better it is, the less you'll show your true colors. I don't know.
That's interesting. I've never analyzed it. It's about, like we said, it's about getting our father's approval. I think it all goes back to that.
You don't release crap. I remember when I was a kid, my dad's like, if you ever release a garbage sketch, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. Back in the 80s when we were doing comedy sketches.
Yeah. He was on SCTV back in the day.
Yeah. My dad is John Candy.
My dad never had this drive to create and put something out. Like, he's very introverted. Like, he's a funny guy, but he would never go on stage. So just the fact that I'm doing things, I think that he would never have done. I think that's impressive to him a bit. So I'm trying to get his approval that way.
That's interesting. But
your dad was an actual musician in bands and everything?
He was a musician. So like when I was like my kid's age, I'd see my dad and his band try to do they do like contests and stuff. They win awards for like Bluegrass Band of the Year for Northern Ontario, but anyway, so it was cool. I was kind of in that world, and I had no musical talent back then, and I still don't. But there'd be times where like I'd pick up the guitar and I'd try to like play along and stuff like that, and then you'd hear people say, "Oh, come on, just let him play with the band just for one night," and then I'd hear him say, "Let him get his own band." Stuff like that tattoos on your mind, right? So fast forward 10 years, I have my own band, and now I'm going to kill it. All right, so this is like my goal is to get so. And
your dad's asking like, "Can I play with you?" He's like, "Get your own band, Dad."
No, not at all. He's I would let him if he wanted to. I'd love him to sit in, but he's and then I try to like. Again, no accountability. No one cares if what I do in the music industry except for myself, because I have this accountability on myself. You know what I mean? And so, a decade goes by. I got albums out, recording in Nashville, opening for Keith Urban. I'm doing Australian tours, and it's fantastic. But it's like nobody cares but me and this thing I have in my head, this accountability. I'm sure my parents are proud of me, but at the end of the day, they'd be proud of me if I. If I was doing landscaping at the corner of Baseline and Green, they don't care. They just want me to be happy.
That's the thing. As a parent now, you realize like, oh yeah, your parents loved you regardless. Like this unconditional love that you have for your kids is just like this. Yeah, there's nothing that my kids could do for me to not love them. Like
Do you see that with your kids?
That I love them unconditionally?
Well, just sometimes the perspective has changed for me as a parent. Like I can see it. I can see them. Like my kid's 8. He's like, and people ask him, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? He's like, I want to be a musician and comedian. And they're like, do you know what a comedian is? He's like, no. But I know that I want. I'm like, so
he wants to be like your dad.
Exactly. And so it's like, I'm trying to say, I'm trying to instill that you could be whatever you want, and I'll be proud of you no matter what.
Right.
That's not true. I will be proud of him no matter what, but you can do whatever you want. So you got to be, because my love is conditional. No, but I mean, and so I don't think our parents had that conversation with us, or maybe they did for you, but for me, it's just in my head. I'm like, I got to do this to achieve that admiration from them.
I think when you say like some things get tattooed in your brain, like we don't realize which moments with our kids will get tattooed on their brains, right? Because I'm sure my parents don't realize like, when I did this, they were, their eyes lit up, and that sort of left an impression in my head. They were just like, whatever, this is just another Saturday. Like they don't fucking care. But to me, maybe like, the first time I got my guitar out and I sang a song or something, their eyes lit up. So I took that as like, they like this. So I'm going to try to, I know this can impress them, and I'm going to make a career out of this, whatever. But in their eyes, there's like, whatever. So I don't know when I'm looking at my kids and they're doing stuff, I don't even know like what I'm doing that they're catching on, they're grabbing on and be like, I'm going to do this to impress dad and mom and dad, So it's tough as a parent to know what kind of impression you're having on your kids,
I can see patterns though. That's just because I think I'm consciously aware of them. My oldest kid, we talked about it earlier. He takes drum lessons on like Zoom calls and stuff like that. And so I try to. I played. My first instrument was drums, and so I try to, give him my 2 cents, and I try to like, all right, try to do it like this and that. So like, although he's taking lessons from somebody else, I'm sort of involved. I'm trying to make him absorb it as best I can. My youngest son sees this. He sees the bond I have with this older one. He's like, hey, let me show you my drums. But he can't play drum. He doesn't know anything, right? But I'm like, but he wants that relationship,
right?
And so I see that pattern, and so I'm trying to navigate it the best I can.
That's true. Yeah, I do. So every day, almost now, I'm playing chess with my oldest. He's 6, and he's beaten me like 3 times so far, I think. I mean, 2 times like sort of let him win, but like
legit.
Yeah, he's getting
legit wins.
Yeah, he's like,
God, Asian gene.
Yeah, so this kid has like, he skipped a grade. Like there's something. What? Yeah, there's something weird with this kid. Like
is he your oldest kid?
Yeah.
So he's
reading in like a 5th grade level or something ridiculous like that, whatever.
How old is he?
6, but he's in 2nd grade now. Wow. So anyways, like I've been playing chess, and I'm like, part of me is like, holy shit, like this guy could be like a chess wizard or something. And I think he knows that, and I don't want to put pressure on him. Like, we're just having fun, whatever. But then my youngest would like be like, oh, you guys, I think he wants
a bit of genius in him.
Yeah, and he's dumb as a doorknob.
That's what I mean. He got your genes, and the other one got the
yeah. Basically, no, I love him. Yeah, it's like, my wife and I were talking, we're brushing our teeth, in our room, talking like, yeah, he's a bit aggressive with his first moves and like losing a lot of pieces. Like we're talking about our kid like that, about his chess strategies, and then talking about our youngest, like, yeah, he really needs to like stop licking doorknobs during a pandemic. That's like, but yeah, having kids and seeing how they react to your positive affirmations and your sort of stuff, it's very eye-opening.
Where do you stand on the Tiger Woods factor? So Tiger Woods wouldn't be Tiger Woods if he didn't have a dad like pushing him every day to do this and that.
He started playing golf at 4, like, and we'd go to the driving range all the time, and
but I mean, where's your bridge as far as I want him to have a good childhood, but I also want him to excel at this?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm definitely not a Tiger Woods dad type of. I'm not a Tiger dad, but do
you think he'll naturally get to world class at chess without
on his own? Probably
without
not.
Pushing. No.
Well, I mean, unless somebody somewhere sees the potential, and it's sort of like, if he gets coached or something. But it's like same thing with like Serena Williams and Venus Williams. Like their dad just picked a sport. And was like, what kind of sport can I just put them in and like make them the best? And he actually did it, which is freaking amazing. To actually be able to, a lot of people have that dream for hockey. A lot of dads. And
on the surface, it's great. Your kid's in the NHL now, and everyone's happy. But that kid probably has some psychological stuff he's dealing with. If he gets injured, like that's suicide. It's like this is like. All I have to offer the world. Like, and now that I can't do this, what's left?
Yeah, it's a balance, right? It's do you want your kid to be an NHL player, or do you want your kid to enjoy his youth,
or just have like a healthy mindset, like not throw all his eggs in the hockey basket, or have it more well-rounded. It's like, well, I can't play hockey anymore because I hurt my stick hand, but I could still play ping pong with my other hand. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
bad analogy, but
I think at the end of the day, I think I would want my kids, if they do really enjoy hockey, to be able to play like in a beer league and be not the worst player in a beer league. And I think that's probably good enough to. They play once a week, and they have some beers with some friends, and you get the camaraderie and all that. I don't think I would need my kids to be playing in the NHL or excel at anything, really. I'd be proud of them regardless. But I know they're going to put that pressure on themselves. My son is already putting pressure on himself to be good at stuff, and he actually doesn't like the things that he's not good at naturally. He's already like perfectionist that way, which I think is like, that's probably my fault. He's getting that from me. He's like, oh, if I'm not good at this already, no, I don't like it. So I can see some drawbacks from that.
But that's not a bad thing. Like, why waste your time?
Well, no, but like, you're not going to be good at everything all the time. So like, you got to try some things.
Well, is there something that, use you an example since you're here. Is there something that you you would probably suck at, but you think you might enjoy, or you can't enjoy it because you suck at it?
Comedy.
But that's everybody. Like, honestly, like,
Well, that's the thing.
how many bad comedians have you seen that are just like, they probably are not ever going to get paid to do this, but like, they are enjoying the hell out of it. They're really cool hang in the back room, and God bless them. Like, let's just keep going. It's I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, but I do think that if I had that mindset of like, I'm gonna quit everything I'm not good at, I would have quit comedy after my first time. Like, because I would have been like, oh, not good at this, therefore I quit. I'm not going to put the effort. Whereas, like, for many things, most things, probably you have to suck and then you have to get better. It's just comedy it sucks even more. It's like doubly sucks because you have to suck and you have to suck in public. Whereas at least if you're learning the guitar, you can just like suck in your basement or your room, like, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why all those long drives to Kingston. No one in Kingston knows me. Just bomb in front of them.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, it's...
Do you think that's an ego thing, though?
It's an ego thing because I had...
a public image to sort
kind
of maintain?
Yeah. Not really, but kind of. And then...
but that's all in your head, too.
It is, but I try to do that with just about anything. And like I practice in private until I'm good. And everybody that has comedy can't do that, but like I didn't tell anybody I was doing comedy for like the first year.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of did it.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody. I would actually, when people found out, I was like, don't come to a show, I'm going to bomb. And some shows I would actually actively bomb just to get it out of my system. So I really want nobody to see this. But yeah, comedy is a weird beast because you have to do it in public. You can't just fucking do it in your basement, in your room, like all the other things, like jerking off and...
You practice that in public?
No.
Yeah.
I've been practicing my whole life just to get to the point where I can
practice in public. See,
yeah.
Pee-wee Herman did that, and his comedy career ended pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know, right? Because he didn't practice enough. He wasn't ready.
That's true.
He wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I know.
So again, we kind of talked about it earlier. That's basically what I'm doing with this podcast I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've got 12 episodes banked because I'm technically practicing how to be a host before I release the first episode.
Yeah.
Because I know maybe people wouldn't notice, but I notice that I'm brutal at speaking. So I'm literally practicing how to speak and have a conversation over a microphone. If you and I ran into each other at the grocery store, it's like, hey, how you doing? How's the kids? Blah, blah, blah. But like now that there's microphones in front of us, it's like, how are the children? Like it's different. It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it's all in your head, and you have to get to a point where you don't even notice the camera or the microphones, and you can just be natural, right? It's like the same thing in comedy. Like, you have to get to a point where you get on stage, and it doesn't feel like this foreign world where you have to think about, oh my God, the light's bright, and the microphone's right here. How do I hold it? And, get the... So yeah, you do it, you practice enough so that it becomes second nature. I feel like our sketch comedy thing, like, had we banked all those first like 10 episodes and then just filmed the pandemic one, and that would have been our first one, we would have come out like, oh my gosh, these guys are actually pretty good, because we would never have shown the first ones we did where we were actually just practicing. I think we practiced enough that we got to a point where we were ready to hit the stage, I think. But then we released all
So we should have practiced in private. That's what you're saying.
Well, or just not release the first 10 episodes.
I don't think that. And again, we give ourselves a hard time, but like they're not terrible.
No, I know. I know. I'm proud. Yeah, I'm proud of the stuff that we did, because we actually did what a lot of people would never do. Like, actually just come up with an idea, script it, film it, and actually have it sort of live up to what our vision was. You know what?
The feedback I get is not necessarily, oh my God, I thought that was hilarious, but like, I'm so inspired in the fact that you are creating these, and like, right, it makes them want to, like, not necessarily create a sketch, but like just do something. And so I'm like, we are delivering value, even though it's not comedy. It's it's something. We're at least pursuing something. We're trying something, and whether we succeed or not, like, having the confidence to be able to do it is enough.
It's when people tell you, like, oh my God, I would never have the confidence to make an ass myself like that. Like, you are. That's inspiring.
It's backhanded, but I mean, it's still kind of a compliment. I'll take it.
Right? Yeah.
I don't have much else going on.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, I actually genuinely don't care anymore when I go on stage and I bomb. Like, I genuinely do. It doesn't ruin my night. It doesn't, like, 2 minutes later, I'm off stage. I'm like, ugh. Well, all right, whatever.
Unless there's somebody you know in the audience that's like never seen you before or something. For me, it's like, you go in, 150 people, 150 strangers. It's like easy. We can do this. But then if your mom's in there or like someone you went to high school with is there, it's like, what are they gonna think? How are they gonna perceive this entire thing? And I don't know.
Yet it's all in their head, and yet you've seen people bombing, and it does impact you. Like when somebody's bombing, it does make you uncomfortable as an audience member. Like it's super uncomfortable, and you see them probably in a different light, and now you know that they're seeing you in that light, and so but who cares? At the end of the day, they're not gonna think about it. Like
there's a new level of judgment. It's like if you don't know the person, it's like I noticed it in music a lot. Like I could perform in front of this entire audience, but then like if a fellow musician happened to walk in and like I would immediately like. All the little solos would be a bit tighter because it's like, oh, I can't be loose and whatever. Like everything's just kind of because I know this person's judging what I'm doing because we're the same way. It's like you walk into when you're watching a comedian, you're not only just enjoying the show, but you're judging exactly what's happening because you have that skill set and it's unconscious. And so that person knows that you're unconsciously judging them, even though it's not negatively. You're not going to like rip a new one if it's bad, but it's human nature to not want to suck in front of your peers, I think. Yeah,
and that's one of the problems. A lot of new comics, they'll play the back of the room because the back of the room is where all the comics are, and you're trying to impress the other comics instead of just performing for the audience. So you have to do it so many times that you get over that fear of looking like an asshole in front of your peers, and you're actually just trying to genuinely deliver laughter to the audience. So you have to do it so much. Comedy is one of those things like, man, you have to put in like how many friggin' sets at Yucks or whatever would it take to get 10,000 hours in, to master it, like Malcolm Gladwell said. That's a lot of sets.
Yeah.
They say about 10 years, I think, before you really start to, find your voice and get your stride and all that in comedy. So, and that's doing it like every week for 10 years.
Yeah.
Before you can record your first special.
Yeah.
You had before the pandemic, you had plans of recording a special in Florida, did you?
Yeah. So that's so what I've done is I've kind of combined the music and the comedy into like a 90-minute show. And so last year I was touring Florida doing this show for like retirement communities and stuff like that, and it was great because you go into this room full of I was at like these theaters of like 600 people, and you go in and it's exactly like what you would picture a comedy show would be. Like you start off with some crowd work and you get to know people, and then you tell a few of your canned jokes. It's like, so now you get their trust. Like, oh, this is a funny guy. Let's keep listening. And then you break into a song because I'll have the guitar there. So it's like, oh, he's a songwriter too, and he's telling us stories about these songs he's writing. And then you get back into you put the guitar down and you go into some more jokes and you tell some stories, and then you start doing callbacks to people like Janet over there. She teaches the yoga class in this place, right? Anyway, so now like we're all friends. Like literally 60 minutes has gone by. It feels like that. And now you jump into the last half hour of like, let's take requests, cover songs, like boom, boom. So you do half an hour of like excitement. Everyone's clapping along, singing along. Good night. On to the next one. And so 90 minutes goes by. Any comic, it's like you perform for 90 minutes. It goes by in a second once you have like control of this situation. And so we were in this awesome theater in Delray Beach, I think. And I was going to do the special there. And a global pandemic happened.
Really? If you're just tuning in.
Especially in Florida. Like you can't be in Florida with elderly people and being a Canadian. So.
Oh, man. Yes. Recording a special with the plexiglass in front of you and everything. That's just, it's not the same.
Yeah.
If you need somebody, I have a camera now I can shoot comedy specials with. That's the reason I actually bought this camera for, is I want to try to record some comedy specials for local comedians and try to get into that. Like one of my dreams is like directing like comedy specials, like an actual, So yeah,
That'd be good.
up for hire. If anybody's watching.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I mean, I could attest he does good work with the camera and the editing tools and all that.
There's no demand for my services though, but no.
There is not.
No.
But yeah. So I don't know when it's going to get back to normal, but hopefully maybe next year we'll try it again. But then again, it's going to take like a year to get back up to fighting weight. As far like the comedy clubs opened again like a month ago for about a month or something like that. And the first time going back on stage, it was like I was doing it for the first time again. I was like, off. I was just, it did not go well. I did probably 5 or 6 shows, and only on the 6th one, I was like, all right, I feel like I'm good. I'm back to where I was.
And then
like
second wave, boom,
shut down again.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh. So here we are.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully the club's open back up on your birthday, because it's going to be 28 days on the 5th. So I don't know if things are allowed to open up
on the
again.
5th? Oh, cool. That was, yeah. I was wondering.
Yeah. Your birthday's on the 4th?
It was on the 4th. I didn't know when the 28 days were up, but hopefully it gets back to normal.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I hope so. Because otherwise, what are we going to do? What are you going to do this winter if nothing opens up again and you can't do comedy, you can't do shows?
I think I'm pouring my creativity into this podcast. I think that and people and like I'd prefer to perform. But I need to have a project. I always have to have a project because it kind of makes in my head it makes me feel like I'm pursuing something. I could be pursuing a turd for all I know, but it's as long as I'm trying something and trying to grow at something, then I feel better at least.
Well, and you're also building transferable skills. You're actually, just interviewing or talking or just ranting or whatever, improv, because, when you're doing an interview, you have to have this back and forth, you have a real conversation. So you're building a lot of skills that you can transfer to crowd work or whatever it is once we're allowed to perform again.
But even as general conversation, I've heard that, like when I've heard other podcasts, they'll say it's helped their conversation skills in general.
Yeah.
I remember my first job out of school in the 90s or early 2000s was like customer service, like support. It was like education's in the technical like software and stuff like that. So my first job was tech support for Rogers high-speed internet. This is like before it was like high-speed internet. It was like broadband, like garbage. The first cable modem had anyway. But like I'd be talking on the phone with people like all day, and like my linguistic skills improved. Like this, I can barely talk now. Like I have poor linguistic skills right now. Could imagine what they were. Yeah, as a it's like that. A year and a half of that job like turned me into like an English speaking person. So,
wow. I wish I would be an English speaking person there, but I did door-to-door sales for like 2 summers in a row. Back when I was like in university, and that gave me the confidence just to go up to anybody and just whatever. Like I did not care. Actually, before that, I had a job where I was a tour guide on a bus in Regina, Saskatchewan for a whole summer, and I would do 2-3 hour tours every single day, where I would just like be on this bus and be like, oh, to your left or to your right, there you have this building, blah blah blah. Give the history. So I would I was basically doing like a 3 hour like comedy. It was a lot of it was scripted, but then I would do some crowd work and I would like talk to people. So I think all these things that you do, like you don't realize at the time, but I'm just building all these skills that I can transfer to other things. But I think doing your podcast is gonna give you a lot of skills to do whatever, and it's gonna feel like you're creating, and you feel like you're learning something new. There's a lot of positive that can come out of it. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Me too. I don't know when is the new 40. It's basically about like because I turned 40 next week, and like around this age is when people like decide, oh my god, I hate my life up until now, or they need to make a pivot, right? It's like you went to school for something, you hate the career you've chosen, you gotta move into something else, and just all the struggles that happen at this particular age. So we're just, I don't know, we're gonna tackle those, talk to guests that have gone through it, and
so all your guests are over 40.
Not necessarily, but like people that have made
close,
people that have made pivots in their careers, people that have, or people over 40 that could give insight to that kind of thing. If marriage experts, parenting experts, creative people, and stuff that have, peaked in their career and then with hit singles, then plummeted. Like how do you pick the pieces up after you've had a number one single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Because I was talking to somebody the other day about the fact that, like, Edwin, you remember Edwin, you know, singer, I think was he I Mother Earth? I'm not sure, but he had a solo career too. And now he's a bartender in Toronto. And some people look down on that because, like, you know, he was this big star, whatever, in the Canadian scene at least. And then now he's just a bartender in Toronto. But it's like, okay, do you look down on the person that's also just a bartender but didn't have that career? Or is it only because he was on top and now he's there? So it's like, yeah, I worked with this guy who got drafted by the Detroit Red Wings as an NHL. Like, he never played the NHL, but he was drafted and he went to the camp and all that. Now he's just another public servant, you know. And, you know, he must feel like he didn't achieve his dream and all that, but do you judge the person who's just went into becoming a public servant? No, of course not. So it's weird that we have this sort of judgment sometimes for people that had something, lost it, but we judge them more harshly than they might end up exactly the same place as the other person, and for some reason we judge them as having failed.
It is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
But they didn't fail. They actually achieved so much more than the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so why are we putting them?
Yeah,
on, like,
somehow they're like lower on the totem pole than this guy who just like
he just went from high school to whatever community college and ended up working as a public servant. But
wow, I've never heard of that perspective. That's actually interesting.
To me, you've achieved so much more, and you shouldn't be. Just because you used to have something, and it doesn't mean that you're now a failure because you're just a bartender or a bar, whatever.
So the lesson here is shoot for the middle. Like, you don't want to get too big, or else it's going to be a steep slope down to the.
Well, there is that too. There's the point, like, Michael Phelps, after winning so many friggin' medals in the Olympics and now like retiring, and it's like he feels like his life is like, there's no, what's the point? It kind of feels a bit hopeless and feels a bit lost because that's all he had. Now he has to go back to what? He's going to find a job, a desk job now? And like, yeah, what do you do when you were there and now you're back down? It's like, for them, psychologically, it's hard enough without the judgment of other people looking at him like, oh, and now you're just you're a swimming coach at high school? Like,
I don't want to be that guy who, like, I talk to a lot of old people in the music industry who like, well, I used to manage Taylor Swift and I used to manage. It's like they love talking about the glory days because it's their glory days, and it's like although you may never manage Taylor Swift again or get to that point, like, are you doing anything now that's meaningful to you right now? Are you you could be coaching a boys hockey team, as you said. There's still some sort of value in that, right? I mean, at least you have a story to tell. Like, when you're on your deathbed, it's like that's the thing I have. I don't want to have any regret. Like, I want to at least pretend like I pursued everything I possibly could. Yeah. And they say, what was that? There's like 3 of them that are like major. It's like I don't know what the hell they are off the top of my head, but like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be on the
regrets of
the regrets. Yeah.
You don't want to be on your deathbed and think like, oh, I should have worked more hours at the office, or like, you definitely want to feel like you've done stuff that brought you happiness and was probably contributed to the world and maybe made a difference. Mm-hmm. Just raising kids, that's enough.
But like, raising kids, but also doing things for yourself. I interviewed a lady the other day. In fact, I met her in Colorado. She did a TED Talk the same day I did, and her speech was, "Mom should be more selfish." And so, the lesson there is, I mean, although you're raising children, like, you want to be able to continue to grow as yourself, do things for yourself, become a better human yourself, so that you can be a better mom in general. Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget that, especially after kids. Is you're still a human. You have like 50 good years left. Let's use them. That's
the weird thing sometimes as parents. You think you're doing something good for your kids because you're giving all the attention to your kids and all that, and you're sacrificing your own selfish ways, if you will. But in the end, you're actually hurting your kids because you're showing them that you shouldn't pursue the things that makes you happy, and that you should, you probably are miserable as a result of not putting your own needs first. So really, you think you're being selfish, or doing something good for your kids, but you're actually hurting everybody, the whole family, if you're doing that. Probably, if you're not putting your needs first.
You should exactly. And it may look selfish on the surface, but you're leading by example.
And the end goal is probably that your kids have a better role model. You know, your kids are happier because they see you pursuing things that makes you happy. They're learning things and.
Yeah, do they want like a happy-go-lucky dad, or they want like a frustrated dad? It's like, because of you, I can't go to the comedy clubs. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
So they need that, and like full circle. If my dad hadn't been in the band back in the day, and I didn't see that whole thing, would I be in the entertainment business? Would we have met? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Maybe not.
I'd be a civil servant, and
we might have met in the civil service.
That's true. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So what do you do? I don't know. I watch Netflix. Cool. Me too. Seen any good shows lately?
I envy those people. So I have a buddy who I play music with him, and it's he's one of these fellas who he doesn't care. He's the happiest guy I've ever met. He works all day. He comes home. He'll just tinker away with the old production tools he's got at home, and he just doesn't have any like big dreams, let's say, but like he's very content. Every day is awesome for him, and he just wants to take care of his basic needs, and that's enough. How do I become that guy? I feel like I have to like conquer the world for some reason, and again, I don't need to. No one cares. Only I have it in my head. Why is that? Do you have that?
Yeah, and I get that we envy those people that are. Not that they don't have dreams, but they don't feel the need to show. It's like, yeah, why do we have this need to prove ourselves all this time, right? They have nothing to prove almost. It's like they're like, yeah.
What's it like to be a happy kid? I don't know.
Yeah, what is it like to be a happy, well-functioning adult? I have no idea, man. That's why we're doing comedy, and that's where we put ourselves through. Like, I just did an open mic in front of a dumpster last night at Poor Boy. And he's like, yeah, why are we all here freezing our asses off just to get like 6-7 minutes of stage time, just to get better at this, to what's the end goal? But yeah, we just have all this need to prove ourselves and to get better at this. Like, why can't I just be content with just coming home and watching Netflix, having a beer?
It sounds lovely. It does. Even drinking a beer, it's like, oh my God, this is gonna go straight to my hips. Like everything I do is contributing to somehow. This is not good. I need to like improve it. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But the people that we are, I think we are hardwired to. We wouldn't be happy with that life, with those life choices, I think. So I think it's too late for us. It has to be ingrained in you from an early age, probably, that you're going to be content with your whatever the basic minimum. And we're just not hardwired for that, so we have to keep going, or else we're gonna die.
You don't think there's a way to
be more zen?
To meet it in the middle somewhere?
Maybe with age we might slow down and being like, okay, well, I'm more zen now. I can just accept what is. I think through meditation, maybe you might be able to get to a place where, yeah, you can actually just relax and not feel guilty for enjoying a chocolate or having a beer, and not putting so much pressure on yourself. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been doing the Sober October thing. Like, do you find a big difference? You got this kombucha thing, right?
Yeah,
here.
Sponsored by Kirkland. Yeah, I do. So on my mental health, and actually this is a whole podcast was supposed to be about mental health, by the way. On my mental health, I've noticed.
Want to start it over again?
Yeah. And go. I've noticed now when I'm drinking, well, not just getting drunk. It takes a toll on my mental health for like days after. Even like 3 days, like I'm hungover the first day, the second day I'm like still groggy and my head is just like not good. Sometimes it takes up to like 4 days before I'm like back to normal. So drinking has been definitely a detriment to my mental health. I was in my 20s, I was drinking way too much and just whatever, partying all the time. And now that I'm older, I'm 37 now, I think like could I go sober completely? I don't think so. But could I manage it to a point where I can keep drinking responsibly, because I don't want to get to a point where I have to go like completely sober. I have this stigma where I don't want to be that guy that's like, nope, been sober for 10 years now or whatever. I still want to be able to have a beer or a glass of wine, but I do have a problem with alcohol where I go, and if I get to a certain point where like there's a like a there's a point of like no return where I get, if I have like 5 or 6 beers, like, okay, if that's it, like I'm loose for the rest of the night. It's like,
but you don't have to get wasted every time. Like you can't stop at one.
Oh no, yeah, I definitely can stop at one. That's the thing. Like I was good at stopping at one. It's just I've gotten to a point now where I actually don't want to get drunk like ever. And I know that if I go out, the last time I got drunk was at a wedding. So if it's open bar, it's a wedding, everybody's drinking. I don't really count how many I'm having. I'm just like, hey, I'll have a wine with the dinner, blah, 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 a couple of more. And I get to a point where it's like, okay, we're going straight gang. It's like, there's like...
But that's normal. Everyone go. It's an excuse to drink. I have something called the when in Rome clause when it comes to health in my head. So it's like I don't get drunk, but like if I'm at an open bar wedding, you better believe I'm stumbling home.
Yeah.
I don't buy cakes. I don't eat big cakes. But when I go to my mom's house, she's gonna bake a pie, a cake, and this. So that's when in Rome. I'm gonna eat a lot of cakes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think you know yourself pretty well as far as if that's what I'm understanding. So if you can control it, then
I can. It's just if I get drunk now, it might ruin my week. It might ruin my mental health for like what in my 20s I could bounce back the next day, and it was like, okay, I'm fine, whatever.
But do you find in moderation, like as a parent, for me, if it's just like an intense day where I'm doing a lot of things, and then like as dinner time rolls around, like now you have to be a dad. I find like one beer puts me into super dad mode, as opposed to like, oh, are we getting stressful dad tonight? Or are we getting one beer in dad tonight? That's the perfect, anything more than one beer. Like I don't really drink much, but sometimes it's like medicine for me.
Yeah. And we all self-medicate with whatever we can. Like some people it's weed, some people it's, a little bit of alcohol there and there. Some people like Jeff Toobin, who got caught masturbating on a Zoom call. Like some people like jerk off, and that sort of like it's their anxiety self-medication. Normalize masturbation doing Zoom calls is what I'm saying here.
Why did I hear about this? How did he get caught doing that?
Because he forgot his camera was on.
He thought I was listening to the conversation. He was just going at him.
Yeah, maybe that was like his thing, like just listening to his sexy colleague doing some ASMR, like just.
So I've done that where I had it. I didn't know it was on mute, or I didn't have it off mute, and I'm like, just swearing to myself, just like, oh, this piece of shit. Got it. Where's that, Roy? Nothing. I just. But I've never, I always know when the video camera's on or off.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Maybe he intentionally, like, he was like a bit of an exhibitionist, like that, and got him hard, probably thinking like, yeah, maybe that was his kink.
I don't have any of that in me at all. Like I need the lights off. I need very self-conscious.
Yeah, but it was like going back to that self-medication. Like I think, do you smoke weed? Did you ever get into that?
I don't like the way it makes me. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't like to be mellowed out the way it does. I don't like it makes me anxious. But like a beer, for example, just like it takes the edge right off, and it's perfect for me. Yeah,
no, for me, I miss having a glass of wine with dinner, because that's my wife and I's thing. Like just drinking. We'll just like light tasting wines too. Like just. We've been like on our honeymoon, we went to South Africa and we did like a bunch of wineries and all that. That's sort of our thing, like drinking wine together. And in the last month I've missed, and she's opened bottles. I was like, I really want to try this bottle. And so I missed that. I think I could do, if I just did wine, it's the hard stuff too. Like I'm in a Scotch and whiskey club, so like we taste whiskeys, and sometimes that gets the whiskey,
But I'm a creature of habit. So if I do that, I don't want to drink every day. That's the thing. I only want it when I need it. And so like my breakfast and lunch is the same every day, just because because it's like I need to get this amount of flaxseed in. I need to get these chia seeds. I need to do this. So it's all in there. It's all good. But like if I started to, all right, one beer or one glass of wine at dinner, I will do that the rest of my life, and I don't want that. I want it when I eat it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so I gotta be careful with that.
Well, I mean, when we started the pandemic, my wife went and bought 20 24 bottles of wine just like to stock up. And we realized pretty quickly that we were drinking at least a glass of wine like every single day. And whereas before the pandemic, we would just drink whenever we wanted to, or whatever. We maybe just buy a bottle for the weekend or something like that. But now it's like, oh, every day is a weekend, and it's like, and then I realized, like, oh, okay, this is getting a little problematic, maybe.
I did the same thing with dish soap. It's like that. Now we just have like this abundance of dish soap. So it's like now the dishwasher is running constantly. Just even if it's empty, just like we got to use this shit up.
I mean, it's not gonna go bad.
Well, everything has an expiry date.
This aged too. This is aged dish soap from
exactly.
This is a 2020 vintage. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. No, I think it's overall it's been sobriety has been good for me. Like it's been sort of eye opening, and just how many opportunities I do get to drink as well. Like how often I had to turn down drinking in the last month. It's pretty high. Like every time I would do stand up or I had people over last weekend for we did a backyard show and a movie special, comedy special projection on my projector, and everybody was drinking, and I was the only one drinking kombucha or whatever. And I was like, I would go for a beer right now, but it's like usually I would never think about it, but like just being sober for a month, just like being conscious of all the opportunities that you have to drink in a month is pretty substantive.
Something that's helped me in that was intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So like, because we go to the clubs and like it's basically a bar, right? So you want, you're going to do your set. You want to celebrate a good or bad set with a beer afterwards.
Yeah.
But if you're in a fast, for me, I only eat consume calories between 12 and 8 p.m.
Right.
The show usually starts at 8:30. So if I have a beer, I'm going to break my fast for that day. So in my head, I'm like, that takes priority over drinking, even though. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with drinking after your set or but for me, that's just, I know myself. If I get into the habit of having a beer every time I do a set, well, now I'm drinking 3 times a week, and now I'll probably have some at home on the weekend or whatever. So I just have to make rules for myself to control myself because I know myself.
That's interesting that you brought up intermittent fasting, because I've been doing intermittent fasting intermittently, for like last probably 2 years.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, exactly. For the last 2 years, I've been trying, like in the summertime, it's much easier because I can just not eat first thing in the morning. I won't eat till like, 1 or 2 sometimes. But in the winter, I feel like cold. I just don't like that feeling. So I might break my fast in the morning, whatever. But I wasn't counting drinking beer as like breaking my fast. I'd be like, no, I'll just won't eat from, I'll eat from 12 to 8, but then after that, it's just a beer. It doesn't count as, and it's full of carbs, it's full of calories, whatever, but it's just in my mind. Yeah. I was like, it's not eating technically.
That's true.
It's like a loaf of bread. No, it's.
I've been doing it for like 3+ years now. And I mean, I honestly don't know if it's helping or not, but
for me,
the stats are there, so apparently they are. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for me it definitely helps. And now I've been doing intermittent fasting. I think I'm usually I don't eat until like 3 p.m.
I could do that, but I feel like I don't want to eat after like 7 because I go to bed. I go to bed fairly early, so I don't want to push it till 10 or whatever.
That's the thing. My window is now narrower. It used to be like 12 to 8. Now it's like 3 to 8 or 3 to 7 or something like that.
Is that supposed to be better?
The narrower your window, the looser you can be with your diet, because so
you can eat a bag of Doritos for dinner and it'd be fine.
Well, I mean, you'll probably I need one good full meal and a little bit of snacking, and I'm good for the day, basically.
The problem with myself and yourself, we can consider ourselves athletes, I would say. Not professional ones, but I find that when I eat less calories, I'm not getting I'm weaker, less energy. So I need that big window to get as many calories as I can in that window. So I think your body metabolizes the food differently. That's what the benefit of the window is. But I still need to get all those calories in. So if you have a 3-hour window and you have to get 15 to 200 or 2,000 calories in, like that's a lot of eating in the 3-hour window.
That's binge eating, basically. Intermittent binging they call it. But
because I could feel it the next day if I've only had like 1,200 calories, like I'm weak and I'm sluggish. But if
Well, with that, I'll usually take a protein shake. So at least I get my proteins in. My carbs I can get no matter what. Like I can just fucking whatever. And then my fat as well. So yeah, all my macros are pretty, and I'm getting my nutrients. I'm getting like multivitamins. So I'm getting my micronutrients. I try to get everything. I'm taking too many supplements now and stuff like that, shit like that.
I tried to cut that out like a while ago. I used to do everything, and now I just do. I got like 4. I've narrowed it down to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm taking like St. John's wort. This is for like the seasonal affective disorder. When the
Vitamin D does that too. Vitamin D will do that seasonal.
Yeah, actually, vitamin D is really good right now too for COVID. Apparently, yeah. When you get less sunlight, you get some vitamin D supplements. I'm taking magnesium.
I do that too.
My multivitamins. I'm taking this this sort of. It's not a pre-workout, but it's like a nutraceutical for like energy, I guess. Taking that in the morning.
So you don't drink coffee, but you drink whatever that garbage is.
Yeah, but it does make you shaky. That's the thing. It just like gives you sort of like a slow release energy for most of the day, and I guess that's why I can do intermittent fasting until like 3 p.m. because I don't feel hungry until then.
Well, the coffee saves me. It's like I'm really hungry in the morning, but like as soon as I have that, I have a black coffee, and that it doesn't break your fast apparently. So between 8 and 12 is black coffee.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're drinking, I find I urinate more. Let's talk about that. I find I urinate more if I'm fasting because I end up drinking a lot more liquid. I'm just like drinking water. Actually, you know what? Kombucha was breaking my fast technically. Damn it. Yeah, it's full of sugar. Well, it's like 18 grams.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that today. I usually don't drink kombucha in the morning, but just green tea.
Well, green tea, does that break the fast?
No.
Really?
Same thing as coffee. It's just caffeine. There's no carbs or anything.
Cool.
Well, as long as you don't put any cream or...
I just started drinking green tea a month and a half ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, because a neighbor of mine who's over 40, he says that he doesn't drink coffee. He doesn't eat all that well or whatever, exercise or anything, but like he's drinking green tea religiously for 25 years, and his doctor said he's got the lowest inflammation he's ever seen in a human being ever, and he attests it to the green tea he has every day. He's got, has 2 or 3 glasses or whatever it is.
No?
And so I'm like, if you can be that shitty and still have low inflammation, because I'm inflamed like you wouldn't believe. Like I'm sore all the time, and so now I drink green tea, and I'm still sore, but I'm waiting for it to kick in. It'll happen soon.
You heard it here first. From sample size of 1, Rory's neighbor, green tea is good for you. Full of antioxidants.
Is he a doctor? No, not. I don't even think he really lives there. He just like squads in the garage.
But
he's a great conversationalist. Yeah, very, very uninflamed.
Yeah, very uninflamed. Impressive. No, but I think it's important at our age. I think it's important to, because you remember in your 20s, like, were you that religious about your food intake and your all that kind of stuff? Or
I wasn't. Not until I was like bulletproof until 30, and then I started getting like sports related injuries and stuff, and then I became religious. Yeah,
I remember being my 20s, like maybe I'll have like, I knew about protein powder, but that's about it. And, go hit the gym, eat a friggin' foot-long meatball sub after, like just whatever. Mm-hmm. This chewy Subway bread that apparently is not even bread because there's so much carbs in it. Mm-hmm. There's so much sugar. But yeah, I wasn't paying attention to my nutrition or anything like that until probably like I was like 35 or yeah. And now with kids, I kind of want to, it's like, I got to take care of myself now. And you just don't bounce back, or you feel like shit if you're not taking care of your body now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Aging, self-care. I feel like this is part of the self-care. We're like at the Nordique spa. You got a jacuzzi, and this feel like one of the Nordique. Have you been to Nordique in the winter?
I have, but now that I live here, it feels like a waste of money. So, yeah.
All you need is like a bath, a cold bath. I guess you jump in the snow like we did last year.
That was. I can't. Nordique, like the waterfall. I can't do it. I don't have the resilience to jump out of a hot bath into the waterfall thing. Like, I realize it's supposed to be therapeutic. I don't know why. Again, I'm not a scientist, but I'll just stick to the hot tubs.
Yeah. All right. Do you think that was good? Do you have anything else to plug?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah. The new 40 starts streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and all that kind of stuff in a few days, few weeks, whatever. I mean, this is going to be out in probably never. This is going to be in the archives. It's never going to see the light of day. But by the time this airs, your podcast will probably be up anyway, so you can plug it now.
Yeah, who the hell knows? Again, it started to be like a thing, and then I was like, you know what? It's becoming a thing, so now it's not going to be a thing. I'm just going to release it when I want to.
There you go. Do you. Do what makes you happy. And stay safe out there. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. You can say bye as well.
Bye. How have the other